Welcome to the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I am your host, Shannon Whaley, and I'm here to help coaches, consultants, and service providers like you build profitable, sustainable online businesses without the hustle or the burnout that's so prevalent in the online space. I am here to show you that there is a totally different way to do business that doesn't leave you burnt the fuck out and hating your life. It's time to ditch the hustle culture and embrace a new way of doing business. So get ready to redefine success on your terms and build a thriving anti-hustle based business where you have more money, more naps, more travel, more freedom, more whatever the fuck you want in your life. So buckle up and let's dive in. So everyone has opinions and very loud opinions about Taylor Swift's new album, her merch drop, The Life of a Showgirl. But the wildest opinions to me are the ones from women's empowerment coaches, the same women who are teaching their clients that they get to have it all. They get to have the business and the partner and the travel and the wealth and the status and the kids and the cars and all of the things, whatever they want, who are also in the same breath calling Taylor a narcissist, insinuating that she's a narcissist, that she's too salesy, that she's making too much money, that she's dropping too many merch items, all of the things. It's fascinating to watch because what that has shined a big light to me is how deep not only the misogyny, because that's running the show always, and internalized misogyny, but also the good girl conditioning that shows up. And even when you have given yourself this title, this is the work that you're doing, it shows up in very sneaky ways. And it shows us where we are still playing by the rules and expecting other women to play by those same rules. So the good girl conditioning tells us to be successful, but not too successful. Make money, but not too much money. Don't outperform so-and-so. Be pretty, but not too pretty. Be proud, but don't be that proud. Don't be that boastful, that big, that shiny. Be vulnerable, but not that way. Tell your stories, but don't tell that story. Be authentic, but you still have to be palatable. We are constantly walking this tightrope between too much and not enough. And it keeps us small. It keeps us quiet. It keeps us doubting ourselves. It keeps us judging other women and being quite loud about it, to be honest. Regardless of how you feel about her billionaire status, I could go on about my thoughts and my things about this. There's a whole other conversation happening about her lack of speaking up about political issues and all of that. I'm not talking about that here. What I am talking about specifically, so I don't want the conversation derailed. I don't want this particular episode to be and focus on that. What lands for me because of the work that I have done with my clients over the last 10 years and what I currently do with my clients and what I'm currently always working on with myself is how to be more me. And who is that? Who the fuck is that? When I have been told my whole life that I'm supposed to look a certain way and act a certain way, and that I am too much and too big and too mouthy and too bold and too opinionated, but then I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough at what I do. All of the things, right? And this is the same. How do they say that? It's the two sides of the same coin. And this is what we are constantly battling in our daily life, but also in our businesses. So here's what I see too. That good girl conditioning, it's not just showing up in your relationships or your self-talk, this is 100% showing up in your business because it's going to dictate your marketing and how often you show up and what you talk about and how you talk about it and how bold and loud you are. If you're shaving off the edges, if you are worried about fitting in and being liked, you don't want to hurt people's feelings. This decides how bold you let yourself be, how big and bright and shiny and rich and demanding, right? It impacts what you think is possible for not just you, but for your clients. Because if you have this limiting belief about how rich a woman's supposed to be or how loud and, I mean, quite frankly, obnoxious, like, I'll be honest, like, being online in this way is quite obnoxious sometimes. I get annoyed by myself, but the thing is that you have to be willing to be annoying. You have to be willing to be obnoxious. You have to be willing to have people not like you and also talk serious shit about you, which is what we're watching happen in real time. So this is my first time as a Swiftie watching her launch an album. I am quite late to the game, but last year was when I started really paying attention to just the work that she does. And um, I'm just gonna be honest, because of all of the backlash that she gets, it's so stupid, but it feels like bold and scary to even admit that I listen to her music and that I like her. The groupthink that is happening right now is that she's an awful human, that, billionaires shouldn't exist, which, yeah, I agree. And also, there's other conversations around this. And so, yeah, it feels it feels like I am, by speaking up about this right now, am butting up against my good girl conditioning because I'm worried about who's going to cancel me for admitting that I like her, who's going to come and talk shit and judge me for all of this, for these conversations that I'm starting. And again, here's me walking my talk. I'm willing to do it and get uncomfortable because this is what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to put yourself out there, talk about your beliefs, talk about how you feel at the risk of being judged, being disliked, being canceled, people taking what you're saying and having shit to say about it. This is just part of what you do as an online business owner. So here we are. I just wanted to clear that and just to presence that. It would feel easier for me to not admit that I like her and that I listen to her music than it would be to say that this is who I am. The good girl conditioning will also dictate how shiny you think you get to be, how shiny you think your clients get to be, because what if they outshine you? What if they outperform you? God forbid. What if they make more money than you? That's my goal, to be honest. It's confronting, right? Because I've watched clients hit multiple six figures, seven figures in their businesses, and I wasn't at that level yet, but I was supporting them to get there. And I was like, this is fucking rad. If I could coach somebody at this level, it means that I'm next. That is my expectation and that is my desire. And here we go. But the good girl conditioning is why you are second guessing raising your prices, why you apologize for selling. Maybe you're not even selling right now, especially when the world's on fire. Look, the world has been on fire for at least 5 years. There is no end in sight. So if you're waiting for things to die down, if you're waiting for things to calm down politically, you should go get a job because you have to work through that in order to show up online, in order to sell your services. But the good girl conditioning is that you don't deserve it, that You don't deserve to take up that space. It's why you're watering your message down so that you don't offend people, so that you don't alienate anybody in your audience. It's why you're not speaking up about politics or what's happening or what's going on in the world. The good girl conditioning, the too much and not enough, is why we play small. Even when we know in our brains that we want to take up more space, that we need to take up more space, but our bodies are terrified. So, this is where the somatic work is especially important, because you have to learn how to hold yourself through this, because it is wildly uncomfortable. I'm probably going to do a little rage dance after this once I hit publish and send this to my team, because of all of the stuff that's happening online. We've seen people get canceled. It's so funny too that Taylor has a song called Canceled on this album. But we watch people go through things and we're like, I don't ever want to go through that. That can't be me. I'd never handle that. I would just fold. I would die, right? And then it happens and you get stronger. You go through it. You have an ego death. You process it. You do all the things and then you come out stronger. Want to break free from the hustle and grind and build a successful business? I've helped thousands of clients and students leave their 9-to-5 jobs, travel the world, land their first clients, close 5-figure sales in the DMs, and grow their businesses to 6 and 7 figures. Want to know more? Visit antihustlebiz.com and transform your life and business the anti-hustle way. Okay, back to the show. One thing that I have also really witnessed in all of this is that you can't fucking win. It doesn't matter what you do. Somebody is always going to have a fucking opinion about it. So I have been watching diehard Swifties who loved this album, and then diehard Swifties who fucking hated this album and are like, she's changed, she's sold out, she is going to become a trad wife. These are shallow lyrics, whatever. I've watched people who have never listened to her music finally give in and listen to this album in particular, and they are in love. They're like, where have I been? Like, how have I been sleeping on her? And then there's people who've never listened to her music and confirmed that they, in fact, do not like her music, that she's just a pop star and they want nothing to do with it. What's interesting too there are people who have never listened to her music, refuse to listen to her music, but are listening to all of the shit talking that's happening on the internet and then taking that as their opinion and regurgitating that, but who have literally never listened or understood. And this is what I have realized over the last year since I've really dug into her work and her music. It are the invisible strings, the Easter eggs. And if you're just coming onto this album, you're not understanding the 11 other albums and how they're all tied together and the symbolism. When you see the Swifties talking about everything online and they're putting things together and they're like, oh, there was an orange bird and then here she was in this cage. These are all fun things that we get to decode. It's like a puzzle. And so we decode this. I don't do any of this. I just watch it happen. I've done a little bit and been like, did you see this? Did you notice this? Why does she keep saying that he's 6'6" when he's actually 6'5"? Like, what does that mean? Why is nobody talking about this? But the fact that there are people who won't listen to her music, have never heard, and then don't understand her music, but then are listening to what other people are saying, it just shows you that, and Taylor Swift could not give two shits about any of this because her job, your job in your business, her job in her business is to stay in her fucking lane. Her job is to create music, to write songs, to create this performance. Like she's a performance artist. She designed the whole Eras tour, which was fucking phenomenal if you've ever seen that. That's her job. She even said, she's like, if my name and the name of this album is being said this week, however it's being said, then I win. That's her job. She's done her job. So that whole thing, what all press is good press, or even negative press is good press. Like, she doesn't fucking care. Your job in your business is you have to put your blinders on. You have to stop giving a shit about what other people are saying and thinking about you, or you are going to be paralyzed trying to please everybody. And the person that you are going to disappoint the most is your fucking self. That's it. You have to stop giving a shit about what other people are saying about you. And that bumps up right against our good girl conditioning, our people pleasing, our codependency, wanting everybody to like us, our rejection sensitivity. So there is so much of this that you have to work through simultaneously as you are building your business. And if you're not working on this, if you're working with a business coach who's not addressing this stuff, find someone to help you work on this stuff too, because it's going to affect the programs you're putting out, what you think that program's worth, how you're talking about it, how you're showing up, how you're actually coaching. If this is wildly uncomfortable for you, this is where your work is, because you can only take your clients as far as you've taken yourself. And so if you have all of these thoughts and feelings, like if you are keeping a lid on your brilliance, how are you ever going to help your client fucking shine big and shiny and bold and go after those big numbers? Because if you are in your private life consistently wondering if you're good enough, wondering if you're ever going to have what you want, like doubting yourself left, right, and center, then you're going to be showing up in that energy with your clients. So you have to be looking at, and it's all around self-confidence, self-trust. I have talked about this ad nauseum since I've started this podcast. These are all tied together. Your job, and as Glennon Doyle says, the only person I am concerned about disappointing is myself. You have to be willing to take risks, to make decisions, to say no to things. You have to be willing to disappoint other people in order to be more you, in order to have the life that you want to live. You're going to have to hurt people's feelings, not on purpose necessarily, right? But if I was worried about hurting people's feelings, I never would have gotten divorced. I never would have left that other relationship when I was 23 and like feeling stuck. I never would have left the relationship at 25, at 30, at like it kept going, right? You have to be willing to disappoint other people in order to have what you want, in order to have the life and the business that you want. So, how do you start doing this if this is where your work is? You can't decondition from what you don't recognize. So, the first piece here is to start paying attention. Pay attention to the conversations that are happening around this, around who's having the conversations. And just get curious. This is what we do in coaching. Get curious about the conversations that are happening around you. Pay attention to what you're saying about yourself. Notice what you think is too much in yourself, but also in others. If you're judging people online for the business they have, the content they're putting out, the brags that they have, because there's probably a pang of jealousy, and that is an indication of what you actually desire. And so if you can transmute the jealousy and the shit talking into, I actually really fucking want that. It might not look exactly like what they have. I want my own version of that, but I am shit talking because I'm wildly jealous, because I don't have that. I don't necessarily know how to get it yet. And I want to have that in my life, but I want to have my own version of that. The times that I've caught myself doing that and still, I mean, like, "Ugh, she's so annoying." Oh, well, she just sold her mastermind out and I had to close mine down. So there's a little bit of jealousy, right? Like, how is she selling like that in this economy? How does she still have those prices when I can't fill up XYZ program, right? It's jealousy. That is an indication for me to check out where I need to do my work. What do I need to be journaling on? What do I need to be dissecting and talking about and looking at? So, listen to what other women say about success and power and money and wealth and having it all. Watch how often people frame women's ambition as arrogance or manipulation, or that they don't deserve it for whatever reason. They've found so many reasons. I just saw a comment of, oh, her dad paid for her to get on stage, or her dad like funded blah, blah, blah. And I was like, isn't that what parents are supposed to fucking do? Is like fund your little league, fund your hobbies. If they have the money to pay to get you opportunities, isn't that a part of being a fucking parent? Are you kidding me? Obviously, there's privilege. Obviously, there's generational wealth. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that what a fucking parent is supposed to do? And it's wild to watch this. And when you start to see it, you can't unsee it. So notice when you start to shrink, when you start to over explain, when you feel like you need to be liked. Maybe you have something to say, but you're not posting it, or you're only having it in private conversations, but you're not actually doing reels or talking about this on a podcast. Though that is good girl stuff. That's the good girl conditioning. So pay attention to that. When you hear that voice saying, that's too much, you're too much, what a bitch, literally say it out loud. Like, oh, hi, there you are. I see you, good girl. And maybe if you want to give her a name, do that. Sometimes that helps remove that part of you. Like, that's parts work where you can say, oh, like my inner good girl is Victoria. So you can give her and maybe you do like serious parts work around this, and you see why she is performing in this way. And how was she built? What was she told? What was she told as a little girl? What were some of the things that happened that molded her into a good girl? Because once you can see that, you can start to remove those pieces or transmute those pieces of you to create a more integrated bad girl, I don't know, bold girl, audacious girl, a fucking powerful, like powerhouse woman who doesn't give a fuck and is giving a big fuck you to this conditioning. So maybe that's where your parts work comes in. Naming it interrupts the trance. It puts a barrier between the good girl and you as who you are now in this moment. So we want to start creating barriers between those feelings. Like, oh, my inner critic is telling me that I can't have that. That puts a barrier because it depersonalizes it. Like, oh, I'm telling myself that I can't have it. No, your inner critic is telling you that you can't have it. Your good girl is telling you that if you put that content out, people are going to hate you. They're going to talk shit about you. Name it, interrupt it, and put a barrier between you and that person, thing, voice, right? The antidote to too much is evidence. So every time you take up space, you rewire your nervous system. Every time you do the thing and you don't die, you don't roll over and die. Every time you speak up, every time you do the bold thing, you rewire your nervous system and that thought process. So post the thing, raise the prices, do the thing that scares the shit out of you, do the somatic practices before, during, and after, especially. You've heard that maybe where when dogs like shake it off and that's them resetting their nervous system. So have a plan, have a consistent practice. This is why having a somatic practice, if it's dance or shaking or whatever, make sure that this is a regular part of your practice so that your body gets used to this process, because this is how you're going to hold yourself if and when you get canceled, when there's pushback, when there's trolls, when people disagree with you. It doesn't mean you're going to die. It just means that someone disagrees with your opinion and they're allowed to have an opinion. Great. You have an opinion about my opinion. I actually don't need to interact with your opinion about my opinion. I was just stating my opinion. And maybe you get to that place, right? People like think that, oh, we're going to have a dialogue or a conversation or argument about it. And it's like, no, I was just stating my opinion. This is how I feel. You can have your opinion. Go have your feelings on your own page. You do not need to be having your feelings on my page and writing a whole fucking novella. I'm not going to respond to that. I'm not even going to like it. I'm not even going to acknowledge it. This is deconditioning, and they get to have their feelings and their opinions about your opinion, and I stay in my lane and I don't fucking care. That's it. That's how you have to show up. You can decide if you want to receive the feedback and then what you do with that feedback, or if someone they call you in, they call you out, you get to decide how you move and interact with that or not. When you do something that feels really rebellious, I want you to celebrate it. You are stepping out of line. You're retraining your brain and your system to see visibility and success and money, more money than you've ever made, more visibility than you've ever had. You're starting to see these things as safe, that you trust yourself. Trust and safety. If you've been listening to the pod or following me, you know that this is a constant conversation that I am having. Building in the trust and safety of being able to hold yourself through all of this. Showing up online, managing the money, managing the clients. This is a consistent piece of work that you will be doing until you close your business, because every level requires more trust and a new level of safety. New level of trust, new level of safety. New level, new devil. There's always something on the other side, and you get stronger. It doesn't necessarily get easier. You just get stronger. Oh, I've been here before. Oh, this showed up when I did X, Y, and Z. I know what I did then that worked, that didn't work. I know what I'm going to do differently this time. So the more that you celebrate your boldness, the easier this feels and the easier it becomes. And the braver you become. And that's where it starts to feel easier. Having boundaries of what you will not allow is key. One of the biggest rebellions against good girl conditioning is saying less. So you don't owe anyone a justification of your choices, of how you're feeling, the stories you're telling. So practice setting boundaries and learning how to say no. No is a complete sentence, first and foremost. You can just say no. No, thank you. Or no. Nope, that doesn't work for me. And that's it. Not over explaining. So pay attention to where you're doing this and you're over explaining in your life. How are you doing this in your business? Because how you do this in your relationship is how you're going to do this in your business and vice versa. And so once you start to switch this, let's say in your business, you'll start noticing, my clients have noticed that, okay, we're working on boundaries. We're working on setting boundaries with clients and having specific hours. And I told the client that I don't work past 7:00 during the week. And I thought she was going to fire me. And she was like, okay, no problem. Oh, okay. So then you start to build that muscle. You start to feel more brave in your business. And then you start setting boundaries with your partner, with your parents, with the person in the grocery store who cut in line. Whereas maybe you would have not said anything, or like, oh, I got my nails done and I didn't really like the color, but I was, in the past, I would have just been like, oh, I guess that's the color that I'll have for 2 weeks. But I actually spoke up. She did two nails and I was like, hold on, I don't like this color. Can we switch it? And I never would have done that before. And it seems so little, but it's so fucking big. And if you've ever not spoken up about a haircut or getting your nails done or a massage or having anything, like if you don't speak up and then you spend the rest of the month beating yourself up, you know exactly how big of a deal this is. And that's what this work starts to do. Setting boundaries, saying no. I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. No, that doesn't work for me. Get around other women who are loud and proud and rich and free and sovereign, who are living lives that you are envious of, that you're jealous of, that you want to emulate, because proximity normalizes power. Your nervous system calibrates to what it sees. So if you're constantly around people who are always fucking bitching about being broke, if you are yourself is always bitching about being broke, that you're staying at that vibration. You're staying at that level. You're not around people who are still making money in this economy, who are selling things out, who are launching things, who are still doing the thing. You have to be around people who are living big and bold and who are telling the stories, who are showing up online in ways that you want to be showing up online. That is really going to change how you look at things, how you think of things, and how you are also showing up. Taylor Swift doesn't respond to the speculation. She doesn't respond to the fucking noise. She creates, she releases, and then releases more, and then has more merch, right? Also, supply and demand. Her people eat that shit up. They fucking love it, and they cannot get enough of her merchandise, her albums. So if you want to be mad at anything, be mad at consumerism and capitalism. That's what you're really mad at. Consumption culture. That's what you're really mad at. Anyway, she moves on. And that is the move for you. Your job is not to please people. It's to tell the truth. It's to create programs and offers that you are lit up by, that you are so fucking pumped to sell, that come from your soul. That is your job. It's to make art. It's to live your life out loud. It is to be unapologetic. Your job is to live your life so that you stop disappointing yourself to appease other people. That's your job. Period. So the next time that you launch something and somebody unsubscribes or they roll their eyes or they tag you in something, channel your inner rebel. This next level you, the one who doesn't give a shit. You're not here to be palatable. And in fact, that is the death of business, is trying to be palatable. You're here to be powerful. You are here to be you and to set yourself apart. So here's some journal prompts. Ask yourself this: where am I still being the good girl? Where am I toning it down so I don't make someone else uncomfortable? And what would it look like to stop apologizing and start living for you? I'll put these in the show notes too. What would that look like? You cannot build a freedom-based business while staying trapped in other people's expectations. The good girl, she doesn't build empires. The bold woman does. The brave woman does. The woman who isn't afraid to step out of line. And maybe she's scared shitless, to be honest, of stepping out of line, but she fucking does it anyway because she knows that the good girl isn't the one who builds the empires and has the life that she desires. The bold one does. The audacious one does. And that is you. That's why you're here. Thank you for that. I will be back next week. Come tell me your thoughts, what landed for you, what you fucking hated. I know that this is a contentious subject for some people, and that's why I'm talking about it. So I love you. Thanks for being here. I will be back next week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I hope you found inspiration in the message and that you got some actionable next steps that you can implement right away in your business to start seeing results and moving the needle. Remember, you don't have to sacrifice your well-being or your mental health to achieve success. So prioritize your pleasure, play, and rest while you build your business around your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps me reach more entrepreneurs like you who want to do business in a completely new way. For more resources and to connect with my community, please visit my website at antihustlebiz.com and follow me on Instagram at @TheShannonWhaley. Until next time, keep taking those strategic anti-hustle steps toward building the business and life that you love. Take care.